What is up, everybody? I forgot to bring myself in there at the beginning. What a complete tool. But guys, welcome to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who it is. It is I, your host, the dad bod god himself, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin. And we are brought to you live by MWA Podcast Network. And guys, we have an amazing guest for you this evening. I have Punch Drunk Istria. This is a gentleman I've wanted to have on the show for the longest time, and I'm really excited to have him on, and you guys are in for a great show, and I'm going to bring him out in just a moment. But guys, I want to take a quick pause for the cause to thank some of those amazing people we call sponsors who help us keep these lights on up in this bitch. First off is healthvape.com. Now, healthvape.com, ladies and gentlemen, is your healthy vaping alternative. Guys, if you're one of those nasty cigarette smokers or you're one of those, normal vapor people, guys, you need to make the switch to healthvape.com. All of their products are no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals, and they are vitamin infused. Guys, check out some of their vape and pod products at healthvape.com. Use promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount at checkout. Next up is sleefs.com. Now, that is SLEEFS, sleefs.com. Now, if you're an athlete or someone you know is an athlete, you need to check out Sleeves, ladies and gentlemen. They've got armbands, knee guards, head guards, mouth guards, compression pants, compression shorts, compression socks. Guys, they've even got some dirty boxes, guys. These dirty boxes that they sent me are the most comfortable underwear that I own. I am an active guy. I'm always running around. These stay fresh the entire day. They stay dry, and they are most comfortable boxes you can actually imagine upon wearing, guys. And they have a cool designs at the front, like an elephant trunk at the front, which is pretty funny and ironic. But guys, check out sleeves.com. Use promo code MWAPOD to get your 10% discount at that checkout, baby. But guys, what an amazing, hectic week that we've just had with MWA Podcast Network. We have some amazing shows that are always going out. We have 7 shows that you go out every single different day of the week, guys. You've got my show, Shooting the Shit Uncensored, where I sit down with people from around the world, from the world of professional wrestling, and we have amazing conversations like I'm going to have tonight. You can also check out Killing the Business, hosted by former ECW original, the Kingpin, Angel Medina, with also on that show is King Mega and the one-ton sex machine, Glenn Sexton. So make sure you check out Killing the Business. You've also got Get Funked, hosted by Alan Kwee Funk, former WCW and TNA star. We've also got Knights of the Gimmick Table, hosted by the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider. And guys, we've also got Wrestling with Sports every single week. We've also got the Funkin' Kingpin show, and we've also got the NXT Roundup, which is going to be going live at 10:30 p.m. tonight. So guys, make sure you tune in for those amazing shows. But guys, without further ado, I'm going to bring out my guest at this moment. He is an internationally traveled Australian. He's been around the world, and I'm really excited to have him on. He is Punch Drunk Istria. Brother,
Yay.
thank you for joining.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
No, man, it's great to finally have you on. As I said in the intro, I've been wanting to have you on for the longest time, man. So this is an absolute pleasure to have you on tonight.
No, I appreciate it. Fire away, man.
Mates, I don't know about how everything's been going in Adelaide, but, with Australia, I think in general, these lockdowns, and I think you guys have been sort of like lockdown 1 week, free 1 week. It's been sort of stop-start for you guys. But how's everything been going over there for you during this time?
Not too bad, to be honest. Like everything in South Australia, I mean, we've got a pretty conservative, approach to it all, but it's kind of led to a pretty, I guess, good median as far as how we've spent most of our time. Like, yeah, we've got the mask mandate and stuff, but for the most part, it's just been business as usual. Like if you're in the fitness industry and things like that, so which wrestling does kind of fall into, wrestling training and stuff. So events have been able to still run for the most part. Obviously, not the full scale events like South Australia commonly sees. That's really only been the last several months that sort of happened. But for the most part, life's been pretty good here in South Australia. We can't really complain too much.
That's it, man. But you're actually born and or from Queensland originally, correct?
Yeah, exactly right. Heading back there next week.
Yeah, right, man. So, like, okay, first of all, like, what made you decide to move to South Australia from Queensland? Was was wrestling like stronger over there than it was in Queensland? Was it a family decision to go there? Where did you land on going to South Australia?
So the South Australia decisions was a long time coming. So for us up in Queensland, the wrestling industry is a little bit different, over the years as far as the training system goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people with a lot of good intentions over the years, but for the most part, everyone's kind of learning on the fly. And there's only so much you can do without the strong fundamentals. So over the years, people like Mark Davis and myself, we go out and travel and find information, bring it back. And for the most part, I spent a lot of years training in an MMA facility with my grappling coach, and that was how like I spent a lot of my formative years. Mm-hmm. So the move to South Australia kind of just happened at a time in my life where I was feeling like winding up a job, and I also knew that I needed to, if I wanted to take my game to the next level, I needed to, iron sharpens iron. So I had always been traveling down here to train with Hartley Jackson and Damian Slater and Jonah. And then I just decided now's the right time. Let's go make a full-time move. So I just upped and decided 1 week I'm going to do it. 2 weeks later, I flew down with 3 luggage bags and I moved into Hartley Jackson's pantry and lived there for my first period of time.
Well, at least you wouldn't have to go far for a snack, right?
Sure didn't. The fridge was just outside.
Oh, well, there you go. It's perfect room for a wrestler, man. I think, close to the food. But did you notice a difference straight away as far as like as far as the quality of your ring work and the quality of your development goes when you started going when you were there full time?
Very much so. Like I think a lot of people probably noticed it as well, especially from my peers. Like I had a strong game by that point. And I've already toured Japan a few times as well and done the dojo systems over there. But when it comes down to it, when you're training 3 days a week in ring and then 5 days a week in the gym with Jonah Rock and Hartley Jackson, Damian Slater, Robbie Hart, these guys, like there's no way except up.
Yeah. Oh, those guys are beasts. You know what I mean? Like you look at some of the stuff that Jonah's done recently, over in NXT, pretty much like close to, getting a singles title run in WWE, which I think like most Australians probably look back 15, 20 years ago, the thought of an Australian being in WWE was almost like this far away dream for a lot of talent. And now seeing, Australians in prominent spots, like the Rhea Ripley's, the Jonah Rocks, it must give a lot of hope for a lot of guys, even aspiring guys that are coming through the ranks at the moment as well.
I think it does. Like I feel like the last recent few weeks may have knocked a lot of people down to reality as far as, it might seem like an impossible goal, but it's still there. It's still there. It doesn't matter what they say about rebranding. If you're good enough, they will look to hire you. And I truly believe that, if you become undeniable in what it is that you do, you can be there. But I feel like those guys having paved the way, I think it took a good year before people believed Buddy Murphy was there. Like Buddy was there long before everyone. Him and Tennille, they were doing their thing for quite a while. But I think it took a few people, to be a part of it to make everyone truly believe, oh, this is a thing. And now, like, there's a full generation of guys here who can honestly say, we would like to go to WWE. When I started, if you said that, you would be, labeled an idiot,
Yeah. Like, yeah, sure, kid. Yeah.
To dream big like that, just because it seemed like an insurmountable task, but now it's at least shown that it is possible. And I truly believe that it still is possible, for absolutely everyone. They just need to find their own way to get there.
Oh, 100%. And I wanted to ask you about your style, because the first match I seen you live was you versus Sam Osborne here in Sydney. And leading into that match, I've known Sam as an absolute beast, and coming to that show, everyone was telling me, like people were telling me, you've got to, this is the match. Istria versus Osborne is the match. Wait till you see Istria. This guy, I mean, like everyone was blowing me up, telling me that how amazing this is going to be, and it didn't disappoint. And I really enjoyed your style, which I think you and Sam, stylistically really meshed very well that night. As far as like for me, I sort of look at your style as very technical. Were you always into technical wrestling? Before you got into the business, was it something that you really enjoyed watching?
As far as the things that I enjoyed before getting into the business, I obviously everyone has their time with WWE and things like that. But what really enamored me was when I started to discover like the 90s junior heavyweight style wrestling in Japan. And that was, the precursor to everything we see today, really. Those guys could do it all as far as grappling, high flying, and things like that. And the move into the pure sort of technical sort of stuff. The best way to sum it up would just be it was just a journey. I was a fan of it always, a fan of guys like Bryan, but my family is a very sports orientated family. I've had a lot of successful, like my brother was very successful in his sporting conquest. And one of the things he always had was to follow the journey. Don't try to be like someone, but you can try and understand their path as to why they became who they were. And Bryan had, at this point, he was training Muay Thai, training with the Extreme Couture and things like that. And he was a big inspiration, especially his run in Ring of Honor in the mid 2000s and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Just beautiful stuff. Still holds up today. And he was going to Extreme Couture and working on his MMA. And so in between, the very Japanese style training here in South Australia that I was receiving, periodically.
Yeah.
And thinking about that, I then went and started doing jiu-jitsu under a gentleman named Chris Foster. And the rest was sort of history. That's what I was spending all my time doing. So it only makes sense to lean into those strengths. And I also feel like it's become a lost art as far as like technical wrestling in the sense of grappling goes. So it just became something where it's just, it was my bliss. It's what I wanted to represent.
But that's the thing. A good technical chain match wrestling match can be just as entertaining as any high flying, big bump type of match, I believe. And we've seen that, like even going back, and I'm not trying to sort of go through your record here at all, but we talk about your match with Jess Troy in Deathmatch Down Under in Melbourne. Again, like a match which two very technical sound wrestlers were able to put on an amazing match, tell a great story, and it might not necessarily be the big high flying crazy bumps or deathmatch elements, but still was able to captivate an audience. And it, like I said, captivates me. I mean, I enjoy the technical side of things because I appreciate what goes into it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very nuanced style. Don't get me wrong. Some people might not quite understand it, but it all comes down to how you execute it, right? How believable it is, how you execute it, and whether it's digestible for people. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people lack when it comes to the grappling, is how to make it digestible. And if I were to use an example like that night, the Jess Troy versus myself match, I really loved that match. I had a lot of fun. There was two different styles of technical, right? So Jess Troy, she's very pretty in how she does a lot of her techniques. Her techniques are very pretty. A lot of the stuff I do kind of grinds on you. It's very rough, so we meshed two different styles of technical. And then as time went on, Jess Troy got more and more rough herself, until she was able to eventually outsmart me and get the win. So it was very cool. There's a lot of great technical wrestling out there, and there's a lot of great stuff still yet to be found. I just think people need to, just portray it a certain way, and the crowd will get into it.
But I think as well, it comes into like who your dance partner is on the night as well, and how well that they sell certain things. Would that be also the case?
Absolutely. It does come into how people sell things, but it's no different. Not everyone has to be, shoot style. I say this in all the training seminars I do. It's just got to be, 100% real to you. Just 100% real to you. So just reacting to the situations, no different to, that blow up doll is real to everyone in DDT. As long as you believe in your heart and you portray that in your heart, 100%, this is real to you. Then I feel like people can get into it.
Oh, 100%. And, you mentioned Daniel Bryan early on, and, is he someone that has been an inspiration to you from the start of your career?
Not so much from the start. I'd say probably more the Kurt Angles and Chris Benoit's. Obviously, I've been around long enough that Chris Benoit was a good guy at the time when I was first watching his stuff. Now I'm personally one of the people that struggles to watch it. I can, but even still, those were probably the guys that I first started that really, really captivated me.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Kurt. Sorry, not Kurt. Chris Benoit, and now finding it difficult to watch. It's funny because I had a conversation with someone not too long ago where they said, "Oh, I can separate it. He should be in the Hall of Fame," and I'm like, it's never going to happen, dude. Like, publicly traded company put that, they'd try that, they would stop it. But I'm in the same boat as you. Like, if I'm watching a past show or pay-per-view or whatever, and his match and a match of his comes on or a promo, like, I literally have to get up and leave the room. You know what I mean? As a parent, like, for me, I get up and just, I don't even want to see this guy, what he has about. And it's sad because he had such an amazing career and was such an amazing athlete.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's very true. It's sad, everything that happened. Obviously there's a lot to be said, what's going on in his head, things like that. But I mean, for me, I was one of those people that mimicked what he did with Dynamite Kid. When I was young and in high school, I flexed my biceps at him and said, I'm going to be like you one day. Hell no, not anymore. I don't want to be like you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's a bit personal to me in that regards. But so when I watch him and watch a lot of his stuff, I can appreciate everything that he's doing, but at the same time, I'm still just in my head going, "You killed your wife and kid. You killed your wife and kid. You killed."
Yeah, and it's kind of like just lets that sort of, like I said, it's a lot. I think a lot of people are in the same boat, and I think that's why, like, he'll never be acknowledged on the way that a lot of the sort of old school marks or wrestling fans are really hope that he does. But as far as getting into wrestling, when was it for you where you decided, you went, you know what, I want to go down this road of professional wrestling? Like, obviously from talking, you sound like you're a very passionate hardcore fan, but when was it for you when you went, you know what, it's time to jump the rail and go on the other side?
So for me, up in Queensland, like, again, this is you think it's a pipe dream for people other places. Up in Queensland, it was almost like a pipe dream that even existed. I understood because I would watch clips of at the time EPW Perth were posting highlight videos on the regular, and Robbie Eagles had his little backyard fed HVWA. So I was one of the guys watching that, being like, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
But I made the jump purely out of boredom. I was a high school athlete, and when you lose something like that, you spend all your formative years doing something several nights a week, training yourself. I was a gymnast for a long time, and I had nothing. High school ended, a big turning point in my life. I stopped the gymnastics, stopped everything, and I didn't know what it was I wanted to do. I always had the idea I wanted to be a wrestler, but in my head, I was going to go to university and then maybe do like a year abroad and find somewhere that coincided with a training school over there. And then I saw a local show, and it left a lot to be desired. It was one of those ones where it was so bad, I sat in the audience and said, "Nah, I can do that." So I started out of pure arrogance. Obviously, I've been humbled over the years in the sense of, my approach to it and things like that. But at the time, it was just pure arrogance. I had no objective to get good. I had no objective to do anything. I just had the objective to beat those guys that wasted my Saturday night.
Yeah. And like, did you ever end up going and wrestling any of those guys?
Oh, absolutely. I'm friends with a lot of them. Everyone knows the story.
but was it because they were green, or was it because they were out of shape?
Everyone has the best of intentions. Just, if you haven't got the training from the grassroots level, what can you do? You don't know that you're doing anything wrong.
But I think a lot of people going in, and I've said this before, it's like people's perception of pro wrestling of what they see on TV. They're like, I can do a swanton off the top rope. In reality, most fans, including myself, probably couldn't even climb to the top rope, let alone, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
but people's perceptions of it is just like, because a good professional will make it look easy. And what they do is it's like, oh yeah, I can do that. But I can just imagine like going in there and like, or going in and seeing these fresh faced people come in. But what was it like for you going in that first training session? You say you went in there like feeling brash and a little bit arrogant, a little bit cocky. How did they humble you straight off the bat?
Not really.
No,
not really. So just because of the athletic background, I think they were more just hoping to mold me, as best they could, sort of thing. So obviously I went in very confident. I didn't tell anyone why, why my intentions were for starting. Yeah. And that was a story that I told everyone years later. But yeah, no, everyone was very supportive. The thing that Queensland wrestling gets a bad rap for a lot of things over the years, but the one thing I will always say is that, in theory, it was the best of intentions, at all times. Everyone was just trying their best with what they had at the time. Now with the relaunch of Pro Wrestling League and stuff, I think we're going to see a bright future for Queensland. In the way that they're approaching things and things like that. But yeah, at the time it was just everyone just trying to do the best they can with what little knowledge they had. Because how can you improve if you're ignorant to what you're doing wrong? So that was just kind of the attitude at the time.
Right. So it wasn't like a couple of carnies running this thing, just taking people's money or anything like that.
I'm sure other people would have opinions on that. For me, I was just, I wasn't close to the situation,
Yeah. You're detached from it enough just to know that you're there to enjoy it. And as far as everything else is like, you leave that to other people over it. But how did you find, because you did say that you're an athlete, did you find taking bumps? Because falling backwards and landing and taking a back bump, for example, is something so unnatural. How did it take you a while to sort of grab that around your head, or were you just a natural at picking things up in the ring?
So I was a gymnast, so falling, wasn't really a problem for me.
Yeah.
So, I don't put the gymnastics into my wrestling style over the years. And it's been so long since I was a gymnast, I would probably have none anymore. But yeah, no, it wasn't too hard. The problem I had was I was taught how to bump in correctly. So I was bumping incorrectly for, the couple of years that I was wrestling up until the point that Hartley Jackson retrained me.
Yeah, right. Like, what was the difference? Like, how can you explain how you were bumping and how it was incorrect?
It's tough to explain. So it's one of those things where it's like if you have Chinese whispers, right? Every fine little detail gets passed on, and then that third person, they have kind of the right idea, but not everything.
Yeah,
that would be the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, right. So I like knowing about 50 to 70% of how to do it, and
exactly right. So I'm just bashing. I was pretty much just bashing my elbows.
Yeah, right. And I suppose, like, were you getting hurt a lot doing that?
Oh, I was dumb and ignorant. So
I only started getting
hurt because the South Australian ring was so much harder. I think I took one bump and Hartley Jackson just goes, "What the hell was that?"
I mean, Hartley sounds like he was someone, and I've heard a lot of people talk very highly of Hartley, and it just sounds like he's just one of those people that really nurtures the business and the people that come into it to show them the right way.
Very, very much so. He's very particular. He was big on, so the dojo mantra is pride, honor, glory. And he lives and breathes that and wants everyone to do the same as well.
Yeah.
So So but it wasn't just him as well. Especially back then, his partner at the time, Ree, was also a big part of the business, and I feel like she introduced a lot of professionalism as far as how to conduct yourself, how to behave, how to act. So a lot of the problems you saw over the last couple of years, codes of conduct and things has always been a part of what we do. So at the dojo. So I think Hartley Jackson, like, he wasn't just running a dojo. I feel like he was trying to build turn boys into men, as the old cliche would be.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, I'm sure he didn't want stories getting back of guys that were training under him acting the fool and doing stupid shit out there on the scene, or, as you said, conducting themselves inappropriately. And I think that as you hit the nail on the head, it's like what we've seen over the last 2 years has been a massive cleanup of the wrestling business worldwide. Is that something that you've seen from, like, as far as Adelaide is concerned? Was there issues around code of conduct in Adelaide that you saw?
No, not really. No. Obviously, my main concern is the people under me, right? The people in my school, the people I train and help develop. But they're all beautiful, beautiful people. So fortunately, there wasn't any problems. But it was still a good reminder and good lesson. And I think as well that was probably the big moment where I truly appreciated everything that this Rhiannon girl introduced to us all, because that was her from all those years ago, bringing professionalism to just a carny act,
Yeah.
which is, like, I remember at the time everyone thinking she was, Reed would come up and say, hey, don't do that. You'd be like, oh,
but do you think, like, but do you think that was like putting that sort of mindset on you guys of how to behave, like, set the precedent for you on how you should present yourself as a professional?
Yeah, a lot of it definitely, like, helped me grow up. Like, as you can tell by just from the way that I was talking about how I started, that's not a pure way to get into the business.
No.
That's and I can admit that, but training under them and learning from them really helped me grow up. And it's not just them; it's everyone.
Yeah. But I suppose that, like, you being a trainer now can sort of take those best of each elements and put them together and make them your own to the students that you're teaching.
Yeah. So, like, I when I teach, a lot of it's storytelling as well. Trying to convey my journey, and hopefully it imparts different things on all of them. But I've had a lot of good influences. So a lot of the times, when I'm teaching everyone, it's a lesson I learned from someone else, and they learned it, whether it be through themselves or, through trial and error, or, through a story in their life. So all what we can do is just try and, I think it was Obama that said, all we can do is just try and, leave the place a little bit better than how you found it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really all that, someone like myself can try and do at this point as a trainer.
Absolutely, man. And, I wanted to ask you about your time in Japan wrestling for Noah, because Noah's been one of my favorite promotions to watch. Like, I love going back and just watching, like, some old school Noah.
They're on a resurgence now. They're on the warpath.
Dude, you know what? Like, there's not enough days or hours in the week and wrestling for me to watch. Like, I sit down every night after everything I've done, and I just go to independent wrestling TV on my iPad and just go, well, I'm watching Freedoms tonight, because that's the thing. There's so much good quality out there. But as far as Noah, like, how did that opportunity for you to work for them come about?
So that opportunity came through another Australian that was over there at the time. His name's Ryan Fujiwara. So he was doing a little bit of freelance work for them at the time. And then, he just put in the word. Like anything, a lot of this is just word of mouth. I've had, Jonah Rock look out for me for many years. And then, Ryan's another guy that's looked out for me as well, in that sense of, if there's an opportunity, he'll be the first to just go, hey, I've got a guy. And it was just one of those situations. And then that opportunity ended up falling through, but the opportunity to be there didn't. So I got to go over there for a few months, and it was a very, very good time.
Wow. And how was the experience of being in Japan? Like, was it that you're like one of your first times living or going over to another country for like English wasn't the first language for them?
No, so that was my third trip by that point. That was my third tour. So that was just like, as soon as I landed, it was back to business. And, Harley Jackson was already over there, already had a support network over there. It was just one of those things where I kind of landed, dropped my bags, and went, I'm back.
And when you were over there, you got to there was a match that you had with Cody Hall, who obviously
Yeah.
the son of Scott Hall. How was that to work with someone like of that caliber, someone who's pretty much been like born and bred into the business?
I,
As far as the working, huh? But
I,
did you enjoy working him?
look, working with Cody was always a challenge, but Cody was very green as well. But
Yeah.
I think the thing with Cody was always, it was interesting to hear where he would be learning stuff from, right? Because when you're such a famous star's son, that you don't get to just merely learn things anonymously. Most people would have absolutely no idea who I am until I show up, right? No one got to see all the times I failed. No one got to see all the times I did all these things. But some of these guys, they don't get that choice.
Yeah.
And I think he was one of those guys as well. And yeah, he was an interesting cat. But like some of the lessons he would learn, you would think, oh, I don't quite agree with that. But then you think to yourself, well, we're in Japan right now, so I don't agree with it for what we're doing for this audience. But then I was like, but that came from Uncle Kev. Who's Uncle? Oh shit, that's Kevin Nash. Like it would be
Yeah.
things like that. Where it's very interesting. So he's a mishmash of so many different people. So it was very interesting just to hear him talk and talk about stories because he lives, a life obviously that, my parents aren't world famous
100%.
people,
100%. Yeah.
Whereas, he would refer to, Uncle Kev, talk about his dad, Our pops would say this. I'd be like, yeah, my dad told me to take out the trash, like that's.
Yeah. My dad said, take out the trash, Chico.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
but I think as well, like for someone like a third, like a second generation star, like the name only gets them so far. With like, if they can't go, they can't deliver. Like, sure, they'll probably get a little bit of leniency, but it's not like too crazy. Like, you've got to be able to back up that name.
yeah, exactly right. Especially in today's world, man. No one can get by just on anything. You've got to offer something. You've got to offer something more.
Oh, absolutely. It comes down. It does. It comes down to a lot more that what you can offer than just your surname. But another one thing I wanted to ask you about was wrestling in Germany, WXW, which is I think Germany's largest promotion and a promotion I've been enjoyed for years and years watching some of their product. How was that experience going over to Germany and wrestling for those guys? Was that
that was incredible. That was one of the funnest weeks, and the reason why is so Yuki Ishikawa was actually a mentor of mine, and I'm good friends with Tim Thatcher. So, so the way that all came about was the three of us spent a bit of time together in Canada, and so from there to be able to all reunite, but then reunite in Germany. It was very, very special. Just in a whole different continent, still in absolutely no one's home. It wasn't America, it wasn't Japan, it wasn't Australia. We're just in another country, and so that was very cool, very cool. And we got to all train together and just relive a bit of that time, and then work the shows. And what was special for me is so I've been a very big fan of Yuki Ishikawa. That's why I sought him out. So he was, for those that don't know that are watching, he was the guy that created Battle Arts. If you go and look up a lot of those old events, they'll still hold up today. And a lot of guys as well that became mega influential people all learned from him. And his story and everything is just incredible. You should look it up, if there are any wrestlers watching. But But yeah, so to be there, right, many years after the fact, and to see the German audience, I didn't even care about, what I was doing. To see the German audience, respond and appreciate everything Yuki Ishikawa has done. There's a lot of legends and a lot of people in this business who are unsung heroes, and I feel like he's one of them. And so to see the audience, show love, respect. If they didn't know who he was, they did by the end of the night. Standing ovations, to see a gentleman who's definitely well past his prime still be shown that love, is incredible. Very few wrestling cultures appreciate the older guys. So to see them do that, I'll never forget that, and I'll always appreciate that. I'll always appreciate everything WXW did for him, and to just be a part of it in my own way, and to be reunited with friends. That was an incredible week. Got to be reunited with Mark Davis, Carl Fletcher, all those guys were all there. They came and watched the Ambition tournament as well. It was a good time, even though I was jet lagged as all hell.
I mean, is it hard to go in there and perform of under feeling jet lagged and going through that? Like, how difficult is it for you to go out there and wrestle
It's
under
more
that
difficult
condition?
being backstage, especially when you got to network and meet people. I'm a fairly, if I'm comfortable with people, I'll be, loud and, personable. But then if I'm not, I'll just be, generally very quiet. A lot more reserved. So going into that environment, you obviously want to network and talk to people and meet people that you haven't met or that we have mutual friends. But at the same time, I also just wanted to sleep. So that was
I really want to be friends with you, but I just want to sleep right now.
Yeah. So that year's 16 carat. So on the final day, no, not the final day, the second day, I think it was. A bunch of incredible wrestling's happening, and at the gorilla position is that random guy no one knows that's friends with Ishikawa and Tim, and Ishikawa and the two of us are just asleep on the couch in the most probably annoying position, and that's how we spent most of that show.
Oh man, but I think
as far as performing goes, it's like anything. As soon as all right, it's time to go. You become Superman. It doesn't matter. Adrenaline hits.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to see, but one thing I wanted to talk to you about was Wrestle Rampage because man, I've become a huge appreciator of what you guys are doing over in South Australia, and you guys put on amazing shows. You guys have amazing talent, and it's like the talent that you guys are putting out are being recognized all around Australia. You know what I mean? Like there's guys getting booked like for Deathmatch Down Under, PWA, like you know what I mean? Like there's promotions that are interstates that are trying to bring those guys in. And I think that really comes down to the base of what you guys are doing, and everyone that I've spoken to from Wrestle Rampage, very, very humble, very, very passionate people about the business. And just definitely seems like things are being done the right way over there as far as, as you alluded to earlier with, the correct culture and mindset of what goes into the business. But as far as, coaching, people now, do you find that challenging, like when you've got people that are coming in that, are new to the wrestling business, for example, and they're learning how to bump? Because I can imagine I've got no patience. So when I've got to show someone something over and over again, I get a little bit testy. But how do you work as a trainer going through that and really sort of having that patience to really be able to like nurture people through certain things?
It helps I've got a good team and always have had a good team. So that tremendously helps. So a gentleman by the name of Greg Graham, he has zero social media. So he's just one of those guys that just loves to do his thing. He has zero desire for anyone to know him. But he's an incredible beginners coach as well. So he's very, very good. And he was one of Harley Jackson's first students as well. So there's a man that's, he's been through it. He's been through it. He knows how to, make simple stuff work. So, like, having a good team really helps in that regard. But I think as well, I got to walk into something that was already established. So, when I walked in, Slater and Jag and Jonah were all doing their thing. Slater moves to Perth.
Mm.
The thing about the way Wrestle Rampage works is there's always going to be someone to take up and take the mantle. So it's just the way the whole system's been built. So then Jonah becomes head coach, and then I become his assistant coach. Jag gets a full-time job in Japan and WWE. Jonah and me have it. Jonah's away. I am home. I'm away. Jonah was home. Then Jonah obviously ends up getting signed full-time. Well, guess what? I've already got 3-4 guys who are already there to be able to step up and assist as well. So that's why, generation full of, Tommy Knight, Corn Dog, Rat Daddy, Corey Adams, Lily Blaze, all those guys, they don't miss out because everything's just ironclad in that regard. And we've all been trained the same, but then we also all have our own journeys and have learned extra ourselves. So we're built on having a thirst for knowledge. So trying to find the best practice. So we've really got it ironed down too. So I honestly could move back to Queensland and know that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. And I think that's a smart way of an organization running, to be honest, is having, to understand that in this business things can happen and can happen very quickly, where you've always got to have a contingency of, okay, who can then now step up into this spot, and whether it's on the show or even on a training aspect. And I think without having that mentality, I think you probably see a lot of companies years prior probably fold when they've sort of lost someone who's a pivotal part of that organization.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we incredibly miss Jonah. He's such a big part. Him and his wife, massive parts. And obviously when we spend so much time together, to have them depart was incredibly sad. But at the same time, it didn't really affect how the business sort of went. How the shows went and things like that. It was awful losing Jonah. Don't get me wrong, but it just meant the ascension of Tommy Knight happened. And now Tommy Knight's incredible. He's on his way to very special things. We're not even at the start of it.
I couldn't believe how long he'd actually been wrestling when I interviewed him, and same with Lily Blaze, because Lily Blaze is someone that I've been hearing about for months, and then it's like when I spoke to her and she's like, "Yeah, I've been wrestling for this," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" My brain was just like, unbelievable that these people that have been able to come in and get so well respected around the country so quickly, and it obviously shows from the training and where they've been developed.
Well, I mean, we put them through it. There's how we train isn't fun, and it's not for everyone. I stress that it's not for everyone, and it's not the only way to be a part of wrestling, but the way we do it, very intense cardio, very intense, very disciplined in how we train. It's just what we believe to be the best practice, and how we like to do things. So very, very dojo style, very dojo style. Obviously things aren't as crazy as what they were when Damian Slater and we all first started. It's 2021. But so things are a little bit more reasonable, but our tryouts to be a part of the group are actual tryouts. And we stress that to everyone that starts. We're not in the business to make money. No one's going to ever just be there just because they can be there. If they're there, it's because we believe we can help them achieve their dreams, whatever that may be. So the guys that come through our system, I think most people understand that on some level they've been through it, and they have the respect of Robbie Hart, myself, and whoever's running our school at the time. So I think that helps, and we're seeing that now with most schools around the country. I think everyone's development system is very good, and we're on track as a country to be a very, very special place in 5 years' time.
I completely agree with you, and I think as well as Australia being so small as opposed to the rest of the world, is that the relationships between top promotions in the country are able to work well together, and talent are able to sort of go from interstate and stuff like that. But you don't hear many like horror stories of the Australian wrestling scene or much of the political side of things, and I think that the Australian wrestling scene it really presents and conducts itself as a business and professionally. Like, any performer I've spoken to always conducts themselves at a very high level of professionalism, and that's something that I've seen from other people that I've spoken to from other countries, and it's it's very good to see that Australians are taking it as seriously as we can.
As one of the people that have gotten to be around the world and go to many different areas, Australia should really appreciate what we're doing. It's not like this elsewhere around the world. Everyone gets their own sort of home, and really cherish that, really appreciate that. It's not a war cry thing. PWA, PWA,
Yeah.
It's just more appreciate that you have that sense of home. Not everyone gets that. Not everyone gets that around the world. It doesn't matter how successful you are when it all comes crashing down, or when things start to quieten down for you as a talent. You're always going to appreciate that you had that home and those relationships. They're the special moments you remember.
It comes to it reminds me of an old saying that I was told. Be careful of the toes that you step on today, because they may be connected to the ass that you may have to kiss tomorrow. And you know what I mean? And it's not saying that people have to kiss ass or anything like that, but it's like, don't just stomp people down just because you're on that rise, because there's every rise to the top is always going to be a decline back down. So I think that the amount of people that we have in this business in Australia, the humbleness of them is definitely something that I've noticed, just being around a lot of people in the Australian scene.
Yeah. The one thing, like, I would just plead to all the Australians is just to have that self-confidence. Make that move. If you don't have the opportunity come to you, make that move. When COVID ends, if you've been working hard, the people that will get the opportunities are the ones that have been working whilst the world's been locked down.
Yeah.
If you think you're ready, go ahead, move to the UK. Just be kind, humble, help set up, do your thing, and then try and make something of yourself over there. Same if you choose to go to America. Forge your own journey. It's really quite. It seems difficult for people to understand, but we can't all just stay in Australia. We're still not there yet. Australia isn't at a point where we can, not leave and get noticed. No, we still need soldiers on the front lines everywhere else. So if you're of a level, please head overseas, bring your lessons back, teach them to your friends, bring them to the shows around the country. There's plenty of people here that can still, I don't think Bobby Marshall's going to Japan anytime soon, but you bet bottom dollar he's going to be in EPW Perth putting on the best damn match he possibly can. There's soldiers still here doing the fight. Everyone else has to keep developing. All those young guys don't sit and wait.
Don't wait for the opportunity. Go and get it and take it.
Go and get it, because we are, as beautiful of a country as we are very far away from everyone, and it logistically is a nightmare to bring over Australians. It just is.
Yeah, of course. It's
the
length in flights anyway.
The opportunities I've gotten have purely come from a lot of good people. If I didn't have those good people looking out for me to get those deals for me, they wouldn't have happened. And then it would have been up to me to go out and do something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not up to someone else to make your success happen for you.
I was fortunate, and the more talent that there are, around the country, which there is, the less spots there's going to be. It's just, it's the way that it is. So
it's
as humble as everyone is, don't let that humbleness not be self-confidence. Go out, go for it.
Go and get it. Take it for what it is. But guys, it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 Seconds with Piers. How this is going to work, we've got a bunch of questions that we're going to ask Mr. Punch Drunk Istria. I'm going to fire them off, and he has 60 seconds to answer as many as he can. Are you ready to get this going, sir?
Let's do this.
All right. Give me the sign and we'll get this started.
Go.
What sport did you play as a kid?
Gymnastics.
Favorite song to sing at karaoke?
There's too many. I love karaoke. The last one that I did was Valerie.
One has to go. Game of Thrones, Lord of Rings, or Harry Potter?
Game of Thrones, I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it.
Would you rather have the ability to read minds or move things with your mind?
Move things with my mind. Who the hell wants to know what other people think?
If you were given a lion as a pet, what would you name it?
Pass. That's an important decision.
How old were you when you found out about Santa Claus?
As in, found out the truth?
Yeah.
I found out the truth maybe when I was 9.
All right. Okay. What reality show would you rather appear on, Survivor or The Amazing Race?
Amazing Race.
Favorite cereal?
Ooh, right now, there's these fruity pillows. You can get them at Coles. Apple flavored. Do it.
Aliens, are they real or are they fake?
Something's got to be out there.
In 5 minutes, you are being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding humans?
I would panic and choose nothing.
Time. That has been 60 seconds with Piers. Istria, thank you so much for being on the show, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. As I said at the beginning, I've been wanting to have you on for the longest time, and I really appreciate you giving up your time on a Wednesday evening to do the show. It's much appreciated. But where can everyone find you on social media, and where can people get some merch of yours?
Social media, at Punch Drunk Istria, Twitter at AJ Istria, merch, Wrestle merch. We love you, Sam and Jax. Thank you for all that you do. And then as far as watching stuff goes, check out Wrestle Rampage on YouTube. We got the last few shows up there. I'll be at Pro Wrestling League, and we're going to be building something real good up there. So please be on the lookout for footage of there as well.
Excellent, guys. Thank you again for being on our show, Mr. Punch Drunk Istria. Guys, stick around because in half an hour we're going to be going live for NXT Roundup. Make sure you tune in for that, as myself, Sexton, and intern Brad are going to be breaking down this past week's NXT. So make sure you tune in for that. And guys, we're going to catch you again very soon. My next show is going to be on Friday night at midnight. I'm sitting down with independent wrestling legend, CZW original, Mr. Joker, former member of the Blackout. So make sure you tune in for that.
I haven't thought about him in years.
Well, man, you tune in on 11:30 your time, brother. You can check him out. But guys, until next time, I'm Piers Austin. This is Punch Drunk Istria, and we are going to catch you very soon. Peace.